Hello, and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. Yeah, not too much has happened since yesterday, but a few interesting developments nevertheless that we want to talk about. Obviously, the market is now in our support area. The price reached yesterday our next target, which was the area here around 90,500 to 91,400. You could say the next Fibonacci area that we were tracking. Roughly, it's not so important to be, accurate to the dollar value exactly, right? Because different exchanges have slightly different price levels anyway. But sort of it's about the area that we wanted to be reached yesterday around the same time. In my video, I highlighted that another dip towards this level seems very likely to complete the internal third wave that we are tracking here. And then at some point a larger fourth wave bounce would be due next. So the micro pattern, I can tell you that, to the downside in this immediate downside impulse, which I'm labeling as a C wave, appears to be nearly complete. But the micro pattern tells us what's going on. So we're going to take a look at the microstructures as well. But overall, it's important to understand we've now reached the golden ratio level, the 61.8 Fib level. And if we zoom in a little bit, then you can see that there has been a first reaction. So it's no surprise that we get a first reaction to the golden ratio level. It's a very important Fibonacci level. In addition to that, the market is very oversold. Yeah, I think it can still drop a little bit lower. We're now at around 27, 28. In February, for example, we went all the way down to 24. But I also have to say that back then, the actual sell-off from the high, which was back then the all-time high, into the into the February low, hold on, that was actually around about 28%. That's basically what we have now, I think 29. But the actual correction completed after we had a 32% sell-off. We're now at 28 to 29%. There's a similar, in similar ways, oversold. Obviously slightly different in the, when it comes to the details. But then, as I said, we're now at around 27, 28 of the RSI on the daily time frame. In August 24, when the market was also oversold, we hit a low when the market hit 27 on the daily RSI. Then we also had 25 in June 24. August 23 was quite extreme. It took it down to 19. My personal rule has always been that I start to buy, even if it's only small, when the daily RSI is oversold, for exactly that reason. Even in a bear market, for example, the oversold reading here in January 22, that is also when the daily RSI was oversold. Even in a bear market, we often saw a significant bounce. For example, it was 45% here. Even here it was oversold. That was in May 22, and the market recovered 27%. So you still get a decent bounce, usually, when the daily RSI is oversold. I'm not talking about other cryptos, that's mainly Bitcoin. And we've reached a support area, and there's still plenty of space all the way down to 83K in this larger support area. This is simply a support area in case we get direct upside continuation and to new all-time highs, which is possible. I know less and less people believe it, which is probably what we need to form a low of sorts anyway. But ideally we hold 83K. Now, if we go all the way down to 83K, which I will not rule out, then I will add with more size. I think other buyers will come in then as well, because shorting will become less and less interesting. But that would mean that we come down like 34% from the all-time high, 35%, which is basically in line with previous sell-offs in this cycle that we had in April and in August. So from that point of view, I think the price is currently not doing anything unusual. The structure hasn't changed. Compared to yesterday's video, the price actually reached the next downside target, you could say. I don't have any evidence that a meaningful low has formed, but the market is very oversold. So I started to accumulate a bit. Yesterday, my second batch. Whenever I buy, I communicate that on Discord, but I'm not a day trader or something. I really don't have time for that. I have lots of other stuff going on, but I buy when, it makes sense for me. And then when I sell, I will let you know. For example, I could imagine if we get a larger bounce, it might be a B wave. Yeah, so in our yellow scenario, that B wave could even go to all-time highs. I explained that yesterday as well in the video. There are still scenarios for all-time highs from here. I will absolutely not rule that out. But even in a more bearish scenario, a bounce in a wave 4 is possible, which could even take us here on the daily chart. This wave 4 on the daily chart, which is actually Roman numeral 4. I will change that. You will see that on the smaller time frame. Roman numeral 4 should take us to around about 100K actually. The standard resistance area for that would be based on the measurement of the distance of the third wave. So usually, yeah, I mean 98.8K would be one key resistance here, but 101, 105K typical resistances, especially if the market is very much oversold. I think the extent of the move will then decide if we call it a B wave or a fourth wave. So let's go to the smaller time frame. Basically, to summarize here, we have now reached key support levels. Market is very much oversold. A bounce should happen in the next few days, my view, or next 1 to 2 weeks. But I have no evidence it started. Short term, I was bearish recently, especially due to the 5-wave movements to the downside that we even saw early in November. Those were like the initial indications that we're likely going lower, okay? And so now, with the price having reached those support levels, I think, I mean, I don't want to say I'm short-term bullish yet, but let's say it's all a new nuance, right? People like, oh, are you bullish or bearish? It's not easy, and you can't explain it like that. It's too simplified. Let's say I'm getting more neutral now and prepared for a bounce, but it's not started yet, or at least no evidence. Why is there no evidence? Now let's take a look at the shorter time frame, because we've reached this blue target zone, yeah. I think actually it needs to shift a little higher here on this time. I'm not sure. I'll change that later. Nah, maybe it's okay. It might have shifted a little bit. Yeah, should be fine. But as you can see here, Roman numeral 4 will be due at some point, but this C wave target is the blue zone. So we've now reached it, yeah. But it seems like, and that's in line with yesterday's update, this C wave might need another 4-5 pattern. But I don't even have any evidence that this wave 4 has started until first micro resistances break. And the very first micro resistance area is between $90,762 and $92,512. So until we actually break above initial micro resistance, there is absolutely no sign that a larger degree wave 4 bounce has started. So it basically, in other words, requires a break above 92,512. So that opens the door to a larger bounce towards 95,500 to 97,300. This would be the next larger bounce. Also, these swing highs could be tested from mid-November, but we'll see. I mean, for now, the pressure is still downward. I'm very much expecting a larger bounce here, but while I record this update, if I zoom in a bit, you see this is still a 3-wave bounce, yeah, clearly. So that's why we're watching these micro patterns, because Elliott Wave helps us to understand if we get any 5-wave movements. But all these movements to the upside that we had, they were 3 waves. So this was a 3-wave move, which turned into a larger 3-wave move, yeah. And this is also a 3-wave move. So as long as we get 3-wave patterns to the upside, I'd say with where we are now, it makes sense to become less bearish, maybe short term. But I think it's too early to become bullish, yeah. I think bears need to get cautious now. I think that's probably the best way to frame it. Bears need to get cautious now, because in the current area, it becomes increasingly probable that the bulls are starting to get interested and that the bulls are actually starting to turn up. So I think that's kind of the situation that we're dealing with here right now on the Bitcoin chart, which means I'm for today, I think all eyes need to be on this micro resistance area. This could simply be, I mean, Circle Wave 3 could simply get one more extension to the downside. It is full now, but we can always get extensions. As long as resistance isn't broken, the bears are still there and the bulls are still fairly weak. So that's why we track 4-5 wave movements to the upside and breaks above resistance levels. So what also sometimes happens, and that's kind of my last comment here, sometimes before such a third wave completes, when everybody thinks, oh, we have to turn around now, the market is so oversold, there's like one final capitulation candle. This cannot be predicted, but at the same time, until we actually break resistance, the pressure remains downward. So yeah, that's the update on Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also check out our X channel. Also feel free to join our membership for additional charts and updates. And as a gold member, for example, you get additional updates on Discord. Thanks so much. I wish you a great day. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching the videos on this YouTube channel. If you've been thinking about joining MCO as a member, now might be a great time. You can use the link in the video description and apply the discount code right below it. You will get 50% off your first month of our gold membership, and you can explore everything we offer. It's the easiest way to test the membership, see if it's a good fit for you, and get a feel for the community, join the conversation, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in our member area.